Well, time for another silver update, and I got another twist on things because, like I say, I never really think I'm going to put out another update, but then I really think of some things that are kind of bugging me. So another silver update and riding free on HD here. So, um, as far as what happened in the markets yesterday, if you remember, silver was getting slammed pretty good, and the Dow was up. Why the hell was the Dow up? Really? Why was it up and all the metals going up, down? Usually they run together, but basically you're not going to see the metals get slammed down really hard and the Dow and the S&P go up. That just doesn't happen. In general, if there's going to be a market slam down in the metals like really hard, you're going to see a lot of stuff go down at the same time. It'll be a cycle, a general trend. Not as an iron rigid rule and a one-to-one correlation, but you're not going to see them diverge that greatly. So what happened with the Dow yesterday? Basically, the Spanish markets were moving up hard. That's what was going on. And why were the Spanish markets going up hard? Because there was more access to easy credit that could prop up the government. So, psychological. They got some funny money they can use, so everything's going to be, the grease is in the wheel still. Everything's moving along. Brought up the Spanish markets very hard. That helped the Dow. Now, another thing that's cropping up is Greece is having some more hiccups. Somebody, I got a little comment a little bit about Lindsey Williams, because I turned 180. I wasn't sure about the guy when I first heard of him a couple years ago. And I'd say probably some months after that, I was highly like, this guy's no way. It's not right. And I'd say probably about 9 months after I heard of the guy, I was 180 degrees the other way with him. I don't like being too critical on here of him because I know he's got a lot of fans. But I'm going to repeat something again. Back in August and September, everybody knew. Not everybody. I didn't know because I wasn't around. I wasn't even around on the internet or anything at that time. I probably would have picked up on this alert. But all the PSLV insiders were selling, including Sprott. Yet Lindsey comes out with this proclamation in September 2011 that silver, his inside guy says that silver is going to be about $75 to maybe $100 an ounce by the end of the year. It was $26. See, my problem with that proclamation, or whatever his information he got from his guy, is that how come Sprott and the PSL insiders were selling silver at 40-something if it was going to go to 75 to 100? So you know what I'm getting at. I think it's all disinformation. I got to be honest about this, and you look at the facts. PSLV insiders were selling the same time Lindsey Williams, his guy, or whatever the hell it is, behind the scenes, is telling you it's going to go up, more than twice. So something doesn't jive there. Now, for the end of the year, today silver's up a little bit. For the end of the year, he's talking about the dollar's going to go down to nothing. Lindsey Williams is saying that. Man, that is a red flag to me left and right. What I think's going to happen, and I'm not going to use too much on the technical charts, but I'll just mention something here right now. When this thing, silver, went up and had this big gain here, really, it bounced off just around 35. I know this is the SLV, so it's basically like a buck lower than a real spot price. But it bounced off around 35. And, if you look back, that's a major resistance point where, it's got a lot of price memory in there, right? It really needs to close over 37, and it'll probably take off and maybe have some serious resistance a little over 40. In general. What I think is going to happen for the end of the year, it's going to take off hard before the end of the year. It's actually going to be up a lot. If this is the case, I'm selling off my ETFs on the brokerage accounts in the metals, most of them, in early 2013. I'm a little hesitant on... I think the markets are going to crash because I think they're being held up by high-frequency trading, and there's not a hell of a lot of volume on there. And when we come up to this fiscal cliff in early 2013, the only thing I think that might do good amongst everything else, is going to be gold. Period. Not the 100% sure about silver, though. I'm really kind of sketchy on that, to tell you the truth. And but I think the markets are going to go crashing down hard. That's what I think. You know, the Ann Barnhart predictions, you know, she's thinking of maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think that's going to happen that fast, but I think she's basically right. I think it's going to happen when a fiscal cliff comes about. Because, you know what I'm going by? Just true fact, what happened before in August of 2011. They had problems with ironing out the budgets and stuff, and then they finally got up to the point, he says, if we don't fix things in 2012, mandatory cuts come in. Boom. That's what's going to happen in early 2013. Mandatory tax hikes, mandatory cuts. That's what's going to happen. So what happened in August 2011 is that all the markets crashed and gold went up. And silver stayed pretty high, too. It kind of helped it out. But it's kind of difficult to state what would go on with silver. That is one tricky metal. I just think it would be good for gold, to tell you the truth. So I'm probably going to, if I see some serious gains, like it's well up in the, you know, near the high, it's almost, you know, 45 or something like that, I'll be selling off those brokerage accounts. They'll be gone. They'll be gone. If it continues to go up to, say, 55, 60, I'm going to start selling physical. So, now, I think Lindsey Williams talking about this, I didn't see that. You know, I followed his other video, and I basically commented on what he said and, you know, gave a synopsis of it. But Lindsey Williams stating that the dollar is going to be dead by 2012 and him just saying this recently, that's telling me the metals are going up. But the dollar's not going to be dead. It ain't. I'm picking up on this guy big time. Actually, you're probably going to see another rebound in the dollar maybe a little bit after, you know, the slam down in 2013. You'll probably see it bounce up a little bit again. And I guess the metals are going to take off from there again. What is actually going to drive up the metals and commodities is war. And it looks like we're going to have the war president all in place, Mitt Romney. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy that's going to start the war with Iran. He's in the hip pocket. He's in the Cheney-Bush crowd, the whole deal. And if you look at my Illuminati clock review or whatever the hell it was I just put up, I pointed out that that 9/9 date was like the release of the movie Muhammad. And this is related to silver because silver's going to take off when they have the war with Iran. The release of the movie The Prophet Muhammad came about during 9/9/2012, and that was the date, you know, the clock counted down to. So, but you know, I didn't notice till last night. I looked up on this thing Romney revealed. It was a YouTube video. It stated that the movie was actually originally filmed as The Desert Warrior, and it was a totally different lines in it. The actors were uttering totally different lines. They didn't say one word against Islam or Muhammad. It was just they thought they were making some dumb movie about the Desert Warrior. They didn't even realize what it was. Then the whole thing later on was dubbed in with other actor voices, and then it was specifically translated to Arabic and released all over the Islamic world. So, the whole purpose behind that movie was to piss them off. I mean, you got to be an idiot not to figure that out. So, I'm thinking, you know, that's what's going to really drive up silver and oil and gold and all that stuff. Tensions in the Middle East. So, you're in the right place. The vast majority of the middle class, including the retired middle class with all their annuities and their life insurance type things that they have, products and pensions in the general equities markets and bond markets, and they might get clobbered. They might get clobbered. That's going to be the focal point of ripping off the middle class. The most of the middle class aren't into metals. You're in the right spot, but dollar ain't going to be dead in 2012. And I think, see, with silver, it's like too damn difficult to tell because I think the markets are going to have a damn pullback very hard in 2013, early 2013. That might bring silver down too. But there's one fact that I think is going to bring gold up is the fiscal cliff, the crisis. There's going to be a downgrade of the debt and all this kind of crap. There's going to be emergency measures to keep the government afloat. They're going to make exceptions to the ironclad rules that they set up last year or over a year ago. So, That's going to drive gold up. It could help silver. That could help silver. But I'm expecting, this is the way I'm going to play it. If you see some really crazy gains, and the crazy gains are like over $60 an ounce of silver. I mean, if it's like freaking practically double where it's sitting right now, you should sell some physical. It ain't going to go up that fast in the real world. It's going to have to go up that high, hit maybe 60 to 75, pull back, and then go reach for 100 again. You know, that type of stuff. It's gonna keep going up, but if it starts getting, you know, just measure the tone of the silver bloggers. That's the best advice I can give you. And if they're really like telling you the sky's falling, hey, sell. That's all I gotta say. So, you know, I'm going to mention something else here. A lot of people are, I wasn't even going to mention this, but I decided to kind of throw something out here. You know, a lot of people are always curious about what goes on behind the big Illuminati or whatever the hell it is. It's a game. I mean, it's a stupid word. I mean, there is no, it's the elite, if you want to call them that, but it's a loosely defined structure. What goes on in organized crime, what goes on, you know, planning of sinister minds and stuff. I'm going to tell you something. What I came across, I've seen with some things, is a lot of these people, you'd never know in a million years what they are on the inside. They're the smoothest, politest talking people. I'm not talking politicians. They can be mild-mannered, quiet, all this other shit. They can look like total geeks. And on the inside, they are not about that at all. I'll give you one example. This guy, he didn't talk like, you know, the hell was it? Like, I'll talk like I'm from New Jersey, so you almost would think, you know, that's associated with the criminal element, but I'm not a criminal, you know. And this guy, he's got nothing on him. He's just a freaking maniac. He was from New Orleans, Irish. And I don't think he's around anymore because a few years ago he went down to Colombia to work for these people, and I lost contact. You know, I used to know him for a number of years, so I don't even know if he's around anymore. But he had all the degrees, CPA, MBA, some other kind of certifications and other things that the government uses for, I don't want to say what they are because that might reveal what the hell he is. Very, very mildly spoken, very quiet, and you never realize, you know, what the person's about. Like if you had to talk to him, he's very polite, you know, uses the $5 words. You'd have to get close. It was almost like you couldn't hear him because he's afraid to speak. He's so timid. But now that wasn't the case. And I'll give you an example. I wasn't here, and I'll say he used blanks. I'll say for this video that he used blanks. You can figure out whatever he did. He had one of those, amongst other things, he had one of those German, the actual one from World War II that the Germans used, you know, the little submachine gun with the 9mm. He had one of those. And he was in a bar over in the desert. It was in Nevada, I think. I'll just say it's Nevada. But somebody in there decided to insult him or like pick on him because, you know, he displays that weakness. Very quiet, you know, meek, you know, like, oh, you know, very like eloquently talking. He couldn't really. So they decided to pick on him. You know what he did? He went back there with that little 9mm submachine gun thing, and he lit the place up with blanks. Okay, and nothing happened. I wasn't there or nothing, but I know him a bunch. He's freaking pretty crazy, man. And it's pretty funny because nobody'd ever suspected. You know, one thing it reminded me of this. Somebody told me this story a couple weeks ago. Actually, this a couple weeks ago. This guy, he was 70-something years old, and he's married to this woman. She's 40-something, and she was an ex-model, real pretty and all this crap. So they finally, like, they break up, like in the last few weeks. Well, he moves a few doors away, and a few days later, she's dead of suicide to a gunshot wound to the head. And you know, the cops didn't question that at all. And you know why? Because this guy talked like he was distraught. He was like a wimp, but he wasn't. That's the point. It's an act. It's an act. So, you know, I mean, a lot of people freak out about all this crap with these Illuminati and shit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these people are like constantly on a treadmill, and they got to watch their back for their own people around them because, if you even look deep into what happened around the Clintons, a lot of people around them kissing their ass, and they betrayed them, right? They betrayed them. They threw them right to the wolves. You know too much. Goodbye. So, it's the middle class loves giddy little rumors. But the thing is, you're never going to know. You're never going to know because the people that are the smoothest, you never know in a million years what they're about on the inside. Not in a million years. You'd never know. So, it's like, I could tell you though right now, I'm pretty damn certain that silver is going to be a hell of a lot higher for the end of the year. Not lower. It's not going to be no 26. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot higher. But is the dollar going to be dead? Hell no. Hell no. That's bullshit. And I don't know, these people coming out with all these stories about the new $100 bills for the last 3 years and all this kind of garbage and all the bank closers, that's BS too. That's total BS. Stuff isn't going to crash that fast. Where I think there's going to be a crash is probably in the general equities markets in the United States. That is something that makes a lot of sense because using common sense goes a lot further than using a lot of other technical means in some ways. The technical has to follow nature, and I'm not knocking the technical, but a lot of times common sense, simplicity is beauty. And where we're going to see what's going on today is the equities markets are far above the reality of the economic situation going on in the world. Chinese situation and the U.S. situation. The GDP in the United States is not that good. Just as China cheats on the numbers, the USA cheats on the numbers too. And Mark Faber, that's one reason I like this guy. You ever see this guy throwing out 50 million charts? He actually goes by his human instinct. He looks at charts. I look at charts all the time too. But that's not really my final analysis. It's human instinct. So, and the one thing I'm picking up is I personally feel that Lindsey Williams, if he's been talking to this elite guy for all these years, and all the wingers that we've been getting here the last several years about specific price points on metals, silver, and what's happening to the dollar and what's happening to oil, he's been horrifically wrong. So, and he still goes on Alex Jones, and Alex Jones bills him as 99% right or 98% right or some garbage like that. That whole thing is nothing but a dog and pony show for the middle class, and the middle class eats it up left and right. So, I do think, though, what's may be happening is because if Lindsey Williams is telling us the dollar is going to be dead, I see that agreeing with the metal going up a lot, but I would guess if the metal goes, well, let me put it this way, it depends on how fast it goes up. If it's up to 40 on silver, maybe it's not going to have a pullback from 40, 42 or something. Maybe it'll have a little pullback. If it goes up over 60, I think you're going to see a hard pullback below 50. Maybe it'll go up to 72 and go down to 40, 46, something like that. Judge it this way as a what-if situation. And since you can't all freaking sell the whole damn thing at the same time, the only way I could say to do it is to do it cautiously in steps. I'm going to do the brokerage accounts first, and if it still goes up more than I expect, I'm going to start selling some physical. So that's going to be my plan. And I'm pretty much smelling that a lot of information we get from the alternative media, you're not getting good information. Not at all. They got you in a panic mode half the time, and I don't like that. You got to be rational.